Let me ask you a question regarding advantages to listing inventory on Facebook as opposed to Auto Trader, Car Gurus, Cars.com. It is a social platform. So does it start with listening to consumer convos and then targeting those in a market with local or even regional inventory?
So there's two different parts to that question, right? So we have the marketplace product, which is what people actively go to search for a product, whether it's an automobile, a piece of furniture, a lawnmower that they want to buy, used in the area. So that product sits over here, and there's not an advantage or disadvantage from listing there than maybe Auto Trader or Kelley Blue Book. It's just another listing site that if someone's going to utilize, you might as well be there. But then there's the whole other side of it, which is our news feed, right? And our stories platform and our shops platform, which lives on Facebook and Instagram, which is that product that while people are, some will say actively or passively scrolling through, right, their feed or clicking the circle to watch a story or scrolling through Reels, which is the video product, that's where they can insert their products or services, or more importantly, these days with the low inventory for new, their brand, right? We are one of the largest, if not the largest, discovery platforms, right? People are using our platform every day. I don't want to slip and say all day, but a good chunk of the day, right? So it's multiple times a day. So it's a perfect platform to be able to insert your brand throughout their journey, whatever journey that is, whether it's a car, whether it's buying, an outfit that sometimes we may or may not need, like this shirt that I bought during COVID that probably didn't need, but it was from a brand new company I never heard of, thought it was really cool. So I bought two. Actually, I bought one and then I bought another. So think of us as a discovery platform that then can take any engagement of that discovery and then market down the funnel.
Okay, so let's say I'm an automotive marketing guy. I'm in charge of advertising, and maybe I am not as up on the meta structure as other people are. So some of these questions might seem a little bit naive, but I would think that theoretically, at least, you have a clear advantage by having access to real-time data. Auto Trader, Cars.com, Car Gurus, they do not have that advantage. And what I mean by is, and the question is, are you allowed to feed dealer-generated in-market consumer ads based on social listening, or has that been cut off at the knees by regulation or some internal policy? In other words, I hear someone talking about wanting to buy a Jeep, and now, boom, I'm getting Jeep ads. Because there have been people on Facebook before, and I use Facebook as an example more than some of the other platforms that you have, that have experienced that, where they were just talking in the room about a specific kind of vehicle or product, and suddenly it shows up in their newsfeed, which I love as an advertiser, by the way. If that's going on, it's a great thing.
So our CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, he diffused that in front of us a couple of years ago. Our platform is not actively listening to people. Okay. Now, that's not to say other apps on your phone, if you're not reading the fine print, are not, but ours is not. So, your earlier question was sort of like, the why. Like, why do I want to consider marketing on Facebook and Instagram's platform? And first and foremost, when you think about media or why you advertise or spend money anywhere, whether it's TV or print or the local billboard on that sits on a highway toward your dealership, there really should be two trains of thoughts at the very top level, at the highest level, right? Is A, how many people can I reach? Right? Like how many eyeballs will my ad get in front of? And then in that same context, at how much, right? Because obviously, the cost to the value has to play a role. Then secondly is, well, okay, a lot of eyeballs. But how is my ad going to be displayed, which is what we call the ad format, which is something that's not looked at often because we always tend to go towards the data or the audience, right? Mm-hmm. If I walked in and said, man, I could reach every human being on a Tuesday that's going to walk into a dealership Wednesday morning, are you interested in buying? We'd all say yes. But if I told you it's a text ad in the bottom right-hand corner buried and no one will see it, like it's a wasted ad, right? So, you know, one of my biggest passions points is, and look, I work for, you know, one of, if not the largest media platform in the world. I mean, I have 61 million people on our platform every month here in the US, right? 176 million a day. Like I've got the people. I also have the ad format because as you're scrolling, you're the only ad on the screen. You're the only ad actually within, I think, 6 or 7 different pieces of content. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, the data and the targeting is definitely a key aspect, but it also has to be married with, you know, how many people can I reach? And then more importantly, what does that ad format look like? One of the best presentations I was ever in wasn't my presentation. It was it was an OEM CMO, and it doesn't matter who it was. And they were presenting to their dealers just like, hey, understand sort of consumer behavior. And they were going over a heat map. This was years ago of a website, right? They were just going over a website. It was like a news site. And of course there's banners everywhere. But the studies show that 70% of people that are looking at this, they don't even know the ads are there, because we're just so accustomed to ads blinking at us that we shut it off. So my point is, you know, I try to focus on, hey, the value proposition that we all listen. I'll have more people in any given market, zip code, region, DMA, state, United States, country. Like I'll have the most. But my ad format is really, really powerful. And when you use us in a full funnel strategy, right, not lead gen only, right, because that's not how consumer behavior works. But if you use us from discovery down to lead, we call that a full funnel strategy. You're going to see the best impact and the greatest results.